This is Rob Tebbutt for Boxing Social. Delighted to be joined here today. I'm in London with Conor Benn. How are you, Conor?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you, mate. I'm well. Let me just sit up a little bit. Yeah, I'm well, man. I'm just finished training down here, so you know everything's good.
You're making your long-awaited return from injury soon. How's the hand?
Yeah, the hand's healing well. I don't know if you can see. You know, so I've got a little bit of stitching there. But, you know, it's part of the job. Last year I broke my jaw. You know, I was out for 8 months and I come back better. And you know, I've had this injury now, which would have, by the time I fight, would have put me out for 10 months. But you know, it's part of the job. And you know, I'm at the age where it's not crucial. You know, I'm still learning. I'm only going to get stronger. My man strength's going to increase. So you know, I've got time on my side.
That's quite an admirable way to kind of think about it. But you are somebody who you box fairly regularly when you've been active in your professional career. When you take an injury or when you're kind of sidelined for a little bit, what's that like?
It's all right because I know it's going to pick back up again, you know, so it's not, yeah, I do itch to get back, yeah, I do hate seeing other people having fights and I'm sitting there in my living room like, you know, twiddling my thumbs, you know, so, you know, it does get a bit frustrating, but, you know, there's so many things you can work on, you know, and PR work as well, you know, it's time you don't want to spend wasted, you don't want to go back and go, oh, that 10 months have been a waste. You know, I've done a lot within these 10 months, you know, I may not be in the ring, but I've, you know, got myself in a better mental state, you know, doing mind training, you know, doing PR work, you know, so I always stay active. You know, I'm just ready to smash things up this year.
How was your break? Your Christmas and New Year?
Yeah, Christmas, you know, I had some jerk chicken and that around my hands, you know, as you do with a Caribbean family. But, you know, New Year's I just, you know, spent it with my dogs indoors. But yeah, it's all right.
Make any New Year's resolutions?
Going teetotal. So, I'm not that much big drinker anyway, but I just thought, yeah, I'll go teetotal till I win a world title. I'll be like, hey, with a Dom Perignon straight out, you know, but, you know, it's just something I thought, you know what, me and my missus might as well give it a try.
Is that something that you just kind of, I mean, I've not seen you splashed across the tabloids as a big drinker, you've just said you're not, but like, what was the reason for that? Was there any particular reason to go teetotal?
Just because I think I need every inch I can get. You know, I was thinking, oh, should I do, you know, quit fast food or fizzy drinks, and you know, I thought, yeah, alcohol, I don't do that anyway, you know, so unless it's like a special occasion. But now I think, why do it when it's a special occasion, you know? So I just thought, you know what, I'll just go teetotal. No particular reason, just thought it'd be beneficial for my career.
Well, it's always beneficial for anything, really. I guess if you stop drinking, unless your job's like a wine taster or something, that's probably make it a little bit difficult. One of the reasons I wanted to come down today, I mean, you turned professional a few years back now. I mean, you're still very, very young, but you know, we know who you are now. But I think certainly from my point of view, at least, a lot of people, and I'm sure you've heard of it, you're kind of seen as Nigel Benn's son, and I'm sure you want to step away from that, but it is obviously part of who you are and part of your life. And just kind of tell me if you can, or give me an insight as to kind of being Nigel Benn's son, as it were. It's a very difficult question because you've always been his son, but you know what I'm trying to get.
I've got to put you wrong there though, because you know I'm here on my own. You know, people are aware that when I do my press conferences, when I do my interviews, when I have my fights, I'm on my own. You know, so yeah, I will for always forever be Nigel Benn's son, but I don't think as much as the other team. You know, my dad's not there speaking for me. I'm there doing my own thing. I've come here. Everyone knows my dad's in Australia. I've come here on my own. You know, I'm doing this on my own. You know, yeah, I carry the Benn name, and I carry the Benn name with pride, with serious pride. You know, so it's not me saying, oh, it's an honour to be Nigel Benn's son. You know, to be put in that same sentence. You know, it's a blessing. You know, and I will always love to be Nigel Benn's son. It's not wanting to step out of the shadows or step out of this. I fight like my dad, and if I can achieve a quarter of what my dad did, I will be over the moon. If I can give people, you know, the entertainment my dad brought, you know, I'll be happy. You know, my dad lost to Watson, lost to Collins, lost to Eubanks, and who's the one most remembered out of a lot of them? My dad. That's because he's one of the lads. He had the time of day for everybody. Why would I not want to be part of that, whether I'm as good as my dad or not as good as my dad, or 10% of what my dad was? Why would I not want to be associated with that? You know, this is, you know, I carry it with pride. You know, being called Nigel Benn's son, it's not, oh, Nigel Benn's son. It's like, yeah, you're right, I'm Nigel Benn's son. That's my dad. You know, so I carry that with pride, man. But you know, when it comes down to it, I do it on my own.
I think that's well said, and I certainly didn't mean it in that regard. But yeah, no, I think that's very well said. The source of pride, I mean, it must be great being Nigel Benn. Some just kind of taking everything away from things. Do you remember growing up? Do you remember kind of being like realising that your dad was famous, that your dad was Nigel Benn?
Well, my dad was just my dad. You know, I was homeschooled, and then I went to a Christian religious school. There was only like 30 kids in there, really private, and my dad was just my dad. He weren't no Nigel Benn. I thought my dad coming to pick me up in his Porsche, my mum staying at home and coming to pick us up in her Cadillac, you know, having my own ensuite bathroom. I had my own jacuzzi in my bedroom. I had my own jacuzzi, I had my own balcony overlooking the beach, and I thought that was normal. And you know, it's the way you're brought up. You know, I always was taught the value of money and to respect your elders. You know, my parents taught me those values. I mean, I could have been very lost if they didn't teach me their values. But it wasn't until I come to do a Q&A here in England with my dad, and at the airport, people were like, "Oh, Nigel," and I was like, "Okay, that's cool." Like, that's my dad, you know, you want a picture of my dad, and he half gets on my nerve all the time. And then we went to Ricky Hatton's fight, it was the last fight, I believe, and they went Nigel Benn's in the arena, and the crowd just, it was, you know, it was like such a moment that will live with me till the day I die, you know. It was like, "You're my dad." It's like, I looked at him and I was like, okay, like, you're my dad, you know, and it was a prideful moment for me as a youth. You know, my dad was just a normal dad. We would go to church every Sunday. It's just normal. Well, my normal. I don't know, my normal. So my dad was just my dad, you know.
So I think for me, like when I was growing up, like you'd obviously ask your dad questions and he'd have answers and stuff. My dad probably lying, didn't actually have the answers, but he's just sort of telling you them anyway. And you kind of think that, oh, my dad's this and my dad's that. My dad, I hope, you know, maybe won't watch this, but, you know, I soon found out that my dad wasn't this big, famous superstar man. Your dad is. Like, when you kind of for example, when you were at the Hatton fight, how old were you there? And, like, what was that like to kind of, like, oh, God, like, people know who he is?
I was maybe 11 years old, and you think I didn't have no idea who my dad was, and, you know, yeah, it's definitely, like, my dad's like my superhero sort of moment. You know, I never got bullied at school or nothing. never had any problems with anything. You know, I mean, my dad, yeah, but then as I started to get older, I realised the mistakes my dad made. And my dad's a very transparent man. So when I got to the age of where he could tell me his personal life matters and everything, you know, I went through a lot of hard fight. You know, when you cross over from teenager / man. You know, so we had our problems and that, and now we couldn't be any closer. And now I'm in the industry. I understand that. And it's only more and more as I get older, I understand what he was trying to tell me, but I couldn't understand what he was trying to tell me. So we'd argue because I'm like, I don't understand what you're talking about. I'm going to stay away from that girl. What are you talking about, Dad? Like, and now I see it. And as I get older, I realise that he was just telling me I love. And don't get me wrong, I've had the backhand, I've had the belt, I've had the cane, I've had the lot. And, you know, I go to school and my little finger be the size of my thumb, you know, because I'll be like catching it, you know, catching the belt buckle, you know. So I got that so much. Oh, I got that so much. That's a little rascal.
How is he different now? Is he different now? I mean, you just mentioned kind of you're now in the industry, so you have like that kind of dynamic shift from your point of view, but has he changed at all, or is he still very much the same person?
No, I think my family has changed for the better in terms of their faith in God, their outlook on life. You know, my parents' parenting skills of, you know, obviously you only have kids once, so I was the first born. You know, so they've learned what they've done wrong with me, they won't do wrong with the other kids. You know, but I needed hush. I needed to be raised, you know, with the fist. I needed it. You know, I hear people saying these days, "Oh, you can't do it." I feel discipline is, you know, a good thing to have. You know, and don't get me wrong, I hated my dad at the time, but discipline was needed, and you know, I thank my dad for installing discipline in me, because with my dad being who he is, I would have been all over the place. I would have thought I was all out in a bag of chips and, you know, going around, oh, I'm Nigel Benn, son, I'm Nigel Benn. But no, my dad raised me humble and taught me the values and morals of life, which the youth today seem to not understand.
What kind of stuff did you get into? You just said you could have potentially been this, that and the other. You strike me as a very level-headed young man these days. But what sort of stuff are you talking about?
Obviously, you go through a rebellion stage. You know, when I turned, my dad kept threatening to throw me out of the house. So I was like, and I was a good kid. I was a good kid up until I turned 18, because my dad was like, I was like, all right then, I'll give you a reason to keep me out of the house. And then obviously I went off the rails and got in trouble, and don't ask what. But I got in trouble, and I got in big trouble. My dad looked at me and he went, I love you, son. And it broke the ice. And ever since then, me and my dad, like, I just wish that I had embraced being his son more while I was at home. Do you know what I mean? While I was there, you know, because now that I'm here and I've been here now for 4 years on my own, I miss being able to listen to my dad and my dad talk with me, because I know I'll never get that back. I said to my twin sister, I said, embrace it. I know Dad gets on your nerves, but I'm telling you, it's not going to be there. He's not going to be there forever. You know, you're not going to get this advice forever. You know, so just know it's out of love. And I'm glad I'm able to tell my other siblings that it's all love. You know, they love you. They want what's best for you. You know, and you know, he's an amazing dad. He's gone from being the biggest, baddest, dark destroyer, you know, ruthless, spiteful, horrible, evil individual, to a loving, caring dad, you know, who is a man of good morals, you know, so it's good.
When was the last time you spoke to him?
Yesterday. I speak to him all the time. You know, I think he sort of wants to be here. You know, like my mum's a very godly woman. She does a lot of voluntary work for the church. And, you know, my dad's one of the boys. You know, so when my mum's sitting down in coffee shops having coffee with, you know, the church people, I know my dad wants to be down the gym with me, you know, frying some leather. So, yeah, my dad's he's young at heart, he's inspiring.
Now, we mentioned this briefly off camera, so I don't want to make it seem like this is kind of new information, but we did kind of talk about your dad still kind of potentially planning on a return to the ring. Him and Chris Eubank have, you said to me they've kind of spoken about it. Just your thoughts on that, really?
I think it is what it is, you know, the public would want to see it. I don't care how old they are. They could be 8 years old in a wheelchair and stick some gloves on, people want to watch it. I just know how hard the sport is now, and it's a brutal sport, it's an unforgiving sport, and, you know, it's a very unforgiving sport, and, you know, my dad's had all the wars he's had, which he's remembered by, and he's come out unscathed. He's come out fine. He's come out on top. He's milked the game. He's come from nothing, and, you know, he's an icon. He's smashed it. I think, you know, stepping your foot into something that's unforgiving worries me, and, you know, I wouldn't want my son to fight. I think fighting is so hard. You know, I thought it was easy. I thought it was all, you know, this and that. When I first turned it, I was like, yeah, I got a new watch. I got this. I got that. Yeah, I got my new Merc. Now it's like, okay, it's time to actually put the work in. It gets harder and harder, and, you know, I just don't see my dad get hit. I don't think I could go to the fight. It'd upset me, you know.
Do you remember the first time you watched him fight? I mean, you didn't realise who he was or what he'd achieved in his career. Do you remember the first time, whether it was kind of on YouTube or, I don't know if you're kind of young, maybe VHS, like probably before your time. See, when I was young, it was VHS. So YouTube, do you remember the first time you watched your dad fight, and what was that like?
Well, so that was before my time. I don't even know what that is. So that's how before my time it was. But yeah, I watched.
Yeah, thanks for that.
But I watched my dad on YouTube, and you know, I'd watch his fight with McClellan. You know, the outcome was, you know, devastating. But, you know, what a fight! What a fight! To have him, everyone had him written off. Everyone had him written off. Everyone, and, you know, I probably would have. You know, and, you know, that fight, I think, you know, really, like, I got through from getting knocked down in you know, the second round or first round, whatever, I can't remember which, first round, getting knocked out of the ring and then coming on strong. That's serious. That's serious. And then when I got put down by that Frenchman, the first thing I thought was, God, and this is against, you know, the level of opposition is very different. And I'm thinking, rah, Like my dad said to me once, I hope you never have to enter a Real Might to enter for that fight. And you know, I think my dad, I think it was sheer spite and anger that he was driven by, you know, and I wasn't raised like that. You know, I was raised in a loving, caring home, you know, but he was something else. You know, I watched that fight all the time, the Iron Barkley, Doug DeWitt. You know, those are fights, those are serious fights. He went in there, come on, let's have it. Let's have it. And his boxing weren't the greatest. You know, he weren't doing the shoulder roll and, you know, all that slick movement. He just went there, let's have it. And, you know, he break them down. You know, he break their heart. And, you know, I think people think today it's all about technicality. It's all about, you know, how you can miss a punch by an inch or how you can do this and do that. No, go in there and throw some leather. And, you know, see if you can come back with whatever. When you challenge someone's pride and, you know, your heart, you know, you want to go in there and give it some. You know, and that's what I'm glad I got from my dad. Because I feel like fighters today feel like they can get away with just having defence. But when it comes down to it, you know, it starts getting on top of them. They can't handle it.
Do you feel burdened by that kind of... Because I've spoken to you at various press conferences and you've kind of said about, you know, your boxing skills and you're improving as a boxer and, you know, technical skills. But your dad was this kind of all-action brawler and this entertainer, and inevitably it's going to you're going to see that. And people are always going to associate you with that as well. Have you found it difficult to kind of separate the two? Because, I mean, you have spoken about that in the past, but obviously you've also been involved in some tear-ups already yourself.
Yeah, of course I have. I mean, you see all these fighters that are coming on, you know, big amateur background and all that. They can lose in the amateurs. No one cares. No one cares. As soon as you step in the pro ranks, you can't really afford to lose. You know, you really can't, you know, and the pressure's on, you know, but I know my career isn't going to be an unblemished record career. It's going to be a roller coaster journey. I'm going to win some, I'm going to lose some, and I need to accept that. You know, I ain't going to be one of these deluded fighters who think they're all that in a bag of chips and this and that. No, I will lose some fights. All I know is that people will get their value for money. I don't know to fight any other way. My last fight, I went in there and thought, yeah, I fought on the back foot the whole fight. Never in my life am I doing that again. My first fight with a Frenchman was easier than my second fight. And I put him down twice, and I was hurt, I was out of it and all that. But I'd rather that than me thinking, oh, box on the back foot, all cautious. No, come on, let's have it. You're not more explosive than me. You ain't got strength like me. You ain't got knockout power like me. You know, that's the mindset I want to go into the fights with. Whether it's like my dad or it's not, all I know is I want people to get their value for money. Because at the end of the day, who wants to watch a boring boxing match? I don't. I do not want to... Listen, you could be the most gifted fighter in that, but I ain't watching no boring boxing match. I don't care who you are. You know, I want to watch Arturo Gattis. You know, I don't want to watch no Mayweather fight. Yeah, he's technically so gifted, God-gifted, one of a kind. I do not want to watch that. I want to watch Ricky Hatton. I want to watch Nigel Benn. I want to watch the fighters that come through it. You know, and that's what people want to watch at the end of the day. But I will get a lot of criticism for, oh, you won't make it because you get hit too easy. You won't make it because of this or because of that. No, but all I know is I've got a decent pair on me and I'll have it with anyone. I ain't scared, I ain't worried.
Why be a boxer? What kind of... Why be a boxer? And you know, was it kind of the, not the pressure, but the kind of the weight of the Benn name or anything like that? Or was it just, you just wanted to fight?
No, it was more... How good does it feel to walk into a room and people know you can knock them out in 2 seconds? That's a good feeling. That's a very good feeling. You know, when like you walk into a room and yeah, like you know, innit? You know, like he's a bad man. He can fight. He can knock you out with both hands. That was what sort of got me into the boxing, and you can sort of still tell I sort of like that. Not just like him in a fight, I like being known that, yeah, he can throw hands. He don't mind throwing hands with anyone. He don't mind taking one to give one. He don't mind being ruthless. He don't mind being this, and you know, I like that. You know, I like that. No one, as I said again, no one wants to watch a boring boxing match, man. I want to be known as a fighter. You know what? I'm as good as my dad or not. That's yet to be proven. You know, I've got years and years ahead of me. You think if you interviewed me 4 years ago, there is no way you or myself or anyone would have thought I'd have been where I am now. Like, no one. But I think my sacrifice of not being with my family is the biggest sacrifice I could have made. And I believe in life, you know, you make sacrifices to get ahead. You know, you've got some people who don't want to move down from Liverpool, move down from Birmingham or Newcastle to come down, train down here because they miss their family. I'm thinking, okay, well, I sacrificed seeing my little siblings grow up. They're grown. I'm that brother in England. They've grown my little sister. You know, if some guy comes out, I can't do nothing. You know, and then I've got stunning sisters. You know, and I can't see that. I see my parents getting older. I see their life moving on, and it does upset me that I'm not a part of. Don't get me wrong. It so upsets me that I'm not there for my birthday. See my little brother grow up, who loves me to bits, and it does upset me. And then I start to think, okay, is it worth not seeing my family grow up? I only get that once, and I'm just so glad they understand the sacrifice that I made. Hopefully I can be able to go, here you go, Levi, here's this and here's that. How you doing, Daniel? You alright? Yeah, I'm good, thank you, I'm well. Alright. Yeah, sorry. But yeah, so it does upset me, but I think, it's the biggest sacrifice I can make. What gets me up and do sprints in the morning. I want to give my kids no less than what my dad gave me. I want to give my kids no less. I had such a blessed upbringing. I know people slag me off and say it's silver spoon, but don't we all want that for our kids? Why do we want our kids to know the struggle? Why do I want this? Why do we do this? Don't get me wrong, I could be sitting in my dad's nice 7-bedroom mansion that he's just built. He's got his own home cinema. I could be doing that. But no, I'm here on my own in this freezing cold weather. And I'm not making sacrifices. You've got to respect that.
I think that's well said. What did your dad say when you said that he wanted to become a fighter? I mean, you just mentioned he's got a 7-bedroom mansion. You want for your kids kind of the best possible life. As you know, certainly now, boxing is not an easy life. He knows that better than anybody. What did he say to you? I'm sure he was supportive, but did he kind of warn you?
Not really, no. It just happened. What happened was I was sparring. I was down at Hatton's, and then I come down sparring at Tony Sims' gym, and I put down a prospect in the gym. It's the first time I've ever put someone down in my life, and I put him down in Sims' gym somehow. And then Eddie's like, I want you on the next AJ bill, and then the rest is history.
What was it like training at Tony Sims' gym? Obviously, you mentioned you got no amateur background yourself, but you were training around kind of people who have storied amateur backgrounds, people who have had a lot of fights. How much did that help you develop and bring you on as a fighter?
I had my head punched in 3 times a week. What do you mean, sparring the likes of Ricky Burns? I had my head punched in a lot. I went home with a sore head a lot. Do you know what I mean? And then I had to get up in the mornings, and I used to have to catch a train from Ilford to Brentwood and get to the gym for 7:30. So I'd get up at 6 a.m. No, 5:30 a.m. to get ready for 6 to walk to the train station, which was like a 20-minute walk, and then catch a train to Brentwood, do the sprints, to sleep at the gym and train at the gym. And I forget I'd done all that, but I'd done that all off my own back. No one made me do it. I'd done it off my own back, and then I remember like, oh, that's how I am where I am, because no one would have done that. When I was in Manchester and I lived up there on my own, my dad was giving me £50 a week because obviously I didn't work, and I just moved to Manchester. I went straight from Australia to Manchester, and my dad was going to say, oh, Conor, you're going to have to get a job, mate. My dad would have made me work as well as train, as well as fight. So my dad would have made me done that, but thank God, Tony Sims, I went down to Tony Sims' gym and he went, yeah, I'll take you. And then it went from there. But otherwise, I would have had to have got a normal job like other people, and trained and boxed, and so that's where my dad was. When I'd need 10 money to go get a kebab down the road, about Dad, can you transfer £10 over, please? And then he'd go, all right, I want to have a receipt. I'm thinking, all right then, yeah.
Does he ever kind of? I mean, I'm sure he gives you advice. He's your dad. But does he? I mean, we alluded to the Eubanks earlier on in the interview. Very different setup. I think it's fair to say what they've got than what you and your dad have. Does he stay completely away from it, or does he involve himself some of the times, often?
With my dad, he's very cutthroat in terms of how can I say it? He don't really reason. So if I was to say to him, this has happened, and so he'd be like, yeah, well, tell him how it is then. Who they think? I'm thinking, all right, well, okay, I'm not to go down that route. So, and I would have been in trouble now if I'd listened to some of the advice my dad given. Don't get me wrong, he was a ruthless man, and he would be like, yeah, who do you think you are? Yeah, I'm done with you, and all that. Whereas me, I've got to, he's all fire. You know, so I just need to sit back, have a think, wait for things calm down. He's not, he's like straight bomb. Yeah, you tell him how it is. Well, I'm like, and I went, okay, Dad, no problem. Yeah, definitely. You tell him, yeah, okay, Dad, no problem. Yeah, and then I'll just give it like a couple of days, and then I'll just say what I've got to say. So with boxing, he trusts Tony Sims, you know, so he trusts Tony Sims to look after me. And, you know, Tony and my family go way back. You know, Tony knew my mum when my mum was younger, before my dad even knew my mum. So, yeah, I'm well looked after. You know, I've got a good team of people around me, you know, from the strength and conditionist, nutritionist, from my trainer, from promoter, management team. You know, it's all on lockdown, and my dad's happy with the team I've got around me.
Since you've been a professional, I mean, nothing's been handed to you, but the inevitability of the fact that you carry the Benn name, you look very good. That's kind of led itself to, I mean, you're sponsored by Reebok. You've been splattered across the front pages of magazines, etc. Do you feel jealousy from within the boxing community about that? And if so, how do you deal with it?
Yeah, of course. Not necessarily, not from my stables, not from my stable mates, none of them, but people are like, oh, it should be me and all this and all that. I'm so like, not bothered, it is what it is. You know, at the end of the day, you've got unbelievable fighters out there who aren't marketed well, who can't talk on camera, who can't speak English, and you think they should be getting paid a fortune, but because they're not marketed well, they don't get paid what they should be getting paid. And at the end of the day, the more you can get paid, the better. You know, obviously it's an unforgiving sport, as I said. I could have an injury, I could have this, I could have that. So the more money I can get, the better. You know, and you know, big endorsements like Reebok, what a blessing. To, you know, come with me on the beginning of my career. You know, done photo shoots with GQ, Men's Health. Obviously Reebok done a couple campaigns now. You know, all on the shop windows, and there's loads of other stuff, Boxing Online, Boxing Monthly, whatever it's called. So yeah, definitely, but there's only so far the Benn name can take you. I mean, look at Nathaniel Wilson, who's been calling me out for time. He got sparked out, you know. There's only so long you can, you know, rinse the name for, and then, you know, you'll get found out. So I do what I do. People love my style. I'm not sure if you were there at my last fight with 18,000 arena. I stood there like that. What? How crazy did they go? They went crazy, and I thought, mate, like, all you fighters aren't entertaining like that. Like, that's not my fault. Do you know what I mean? They're not chanting me just because my dad's there. They're chanting me because they know I'm going to go in there and give him one hell of a fight. I didn't have to fight that Frenchman, but I wanted to fight him. Do you know what I mean? So, you know, it is what it is. I do what I do. People take to my style. People love my style. You know, it's not my fault. You know, people aren't talking about you. You know, clearly no one wants to watch you. Not my fault.
I was at your last fight. I was also at the first Peynaud fight at York Hall. Great fight. Just tell me about it. I mean, what was it like getting sent to the canvas for the first time in your career? Heavy knockdowns as well. They weren't flash knockdowns. You got dropped pretty hard in those fights.
Why you got to take me back there for? Talking about the future here, and you're taking me back there.
We'll get to the future.
So what happened was I come back from New York, and I didn't want to fight again. I had four fights in 5 months, and you know, one of them went to New York, but I had severe allergic reaction on my face, and you know, it was really bad. Like really bad. I was on steroid creams, ointments, and I was a state. And then coming back, I weren't right as well. I had like a 3-day Reebok shoot commitment, and then I was fighting within 2 weeks. You know, I blew up overweight in New York. You know, Dunkin' Donuts every corner. I put on about a stone, and then I had to lose the stone. And you know, there's other stuff going on in my personal life. And I said I didn't want to fight because I don't feel like I was ready to fight. And I thought, well, do you know what? I'll fight him, just get it out of the way. I'm off to Miami straight after. I'll just knock him out. And that's the fight I went. And it wasn't right. Nothing was right. And you know, he put me down, and I thought, God, blimey, what am I doing? What? I don't get here enough. And he hurt. He really hurt. I could really hit. I thought, what? Like, I had a good running streak as well, and I thought, oh, that's the last thing I need. And then he put me down again, and I thought, oh, I've gone over again. And then Wave take me back there.
I was going there because it's kind of what we spoke about in the early part of the interview, in a sense of you and your dad, very different upbringings, very different people, but the way you kind of reacted to being dropped and hurt, it's kind of fight or flight. And a lot of people kind of say you either have it or you don't when you're a fighter. You clearly have it. I mean, you got dropped heavy twice in a 6-rounder, no less, which makes things a lot more difficult than getting dropped twice in a 12-rounder. Yeah. But you decided to fight fire with fire and come back into it. So that's kind of, although you and your dad are very, very different people, you've got his fighting spirit. Yeah,
well, exactly. I think, the fighters, and people go, oh, I've come from the ghetto, and not all fighters have got to come from the ghetto. No fight. Why is that story is dead with Tyson? No one's got to come from the ghetto and I've had nothing, and no, that's not how it works. It's not how it works. When you got a lot of that, when you got a lot of pride, and someone decides to challenge you, it's the will to not quit. It's the will to win. I'm not saying I'm going to be the greatest thing ever, but I've got the will to win. My trainer's like, oh, box. Why are you not boxing? Why are you not? I said, Tone, I can't feel my legs, mate. My legs were not there for the whole fight. Not there for the whole fight. My legs were gone. The second knockdown that they classed a knockdown wasn't a knockdown, it was a slip. Because my legs weren't there from the first knockdown, but I didn't know to stay down and have the count. I just jumped straight back up. And I should have just chilled out for a bit, My legs weren't there in the first round. And then I knew I was losing the fight. I didn't lose heart. I would have carried on going for as long as I physically could have. I would have carried on going. If that went a 6, I didn't even know what round it was. I didn't even know what round it was. I didn't even have my gum shield put in the last round. I was out of it. And then I thought, yeah, And then when I put him down, I was thinking, all right, I need to get him down again. I need to put him down again. I thought, do you know what, let's have it. Let's have it. And, and it was definitely scary. I was definitely scared. Like, I was so scared. And it's like a jungle in there. When you've never been put down before, it's a scary place. It's not nice, man. It's not a nice place.
What does your dad have to say about it?
My dad was wetting himself. I've called him up and he's gone, I've gone, nah, Dad, I slipped on a second knockdown. He's what? Yeah, slipped over a right hand. I thought, God, my dad's just, he just took the mick. My dad's very hard-hearted. He's like, oh, you come out here looking all like that, and I'm thinking, thanks, Dad. Last person to go to for sympathy. He has no compassion. He's not like that. You make your bed, you lay in it. That's what my dad always used to tell me when I'd done something wrong.
Can't go swimming without getting wet, as they say. Future. Saw something a couple of days ago calling out Josh Kelly. Didn't expect to see that. Tell me about that.
It's not necessarily me calling out. I'd love to fight him. I believe his style's suitable for me. People want to go, oh yeah, but you can just, you've all just about knocked over a Frenchman. That Frenchman had about 60 fights and like 55 knockouts. People go, oh yeah, but he's a hard nut. That Frenchman is a hard nut, and he switched southpaw the whole fight as well. The second fight, I had this on my hand, so I had to have cortisone in my hand on fight week. I had such a good training camp, I didn't want to pull out the fight. I had such a good training camp, but I didn't want it to go to waste. So I believed I could have beat him with it, and then he switched southpaw, so I've had to come through with the right hand, which I did, and I managed to put him down 3 times. Styles make fights, he was my boogeyman. Besides that, I was knocking everyone out. When it comes down to me fighting Kelly, people want to write me off. It'd be good to go into the fight the underdog. It'd be good to go into the fight the underdog. What oomph that gives me. And I don't need more oomph, but that gives me oomph. And with a style like Kelly, he has that hands down style. After 4 or 5 rounds, you start to get tired. You will. You can't move all that jittery for 12 rounds, and if you can, your fitness must be on another level, and you have to train properly. So and I know I can go in there, and I know I'll come on strong, and I'll fight him tomorrow. I'm telling you, mate. And it's a good domestic fight. It's what people want to see. It's a fan-friendly sport, so it's what people want to see. Is this 22-year-old with no amateur pedigree, who's all he's got is a pair of cojones and his explosiveness and, you know, his ability to knock someone out. Well, you know, people want to watch that. You know, it's easy fighting a bunch of stiffs when you've got that slick style because, you know, they're going to be all, no, when I throw. If I miss with the left, I'm coming back with the right. And if I miss with the right, I'm coming back with the left, and you're probably getting put to sleep with the left. You know, so, you know, with me, you don't know until you test yourself.
Do you have any experience with Josh Kelly at all? Whether it be, I mean, I don't know if you guys have sparred, I don't know if you've kind of met at shows or if you've boxed on the same bill or anything like that?
No idea. No idea. I've watched Kelly's all the highlights and that on YouTube. Well, not on YouTube, on Instagram, and you know, people are like raving about him and that. It's easy to do all that movement when you're, as I said, when you're fighting stiffs. You know, when you fight someone who can half dig, who's got a will to win, who's you know, a come forward fighter, you know, I think it's a different ballgame then. I think, you know, that slick, explosive style, you can get exposed if you're fighting the wrong fighter, and I think I'm all wrong for him.
You spoken to Eddie about making that fight?
I spoke with Tony. You know, as far as I'm concerned, he's moving up to light middle. You know, but I'll take that fight this year. If they said fight Kelly after 10 months off of injury, I'd say, listen, give me him. You know, I'll go in there and I'd, you know, stick it on him. You know, will he fold? Will he not? You know, with these amateurs that come on, you know, they're so gifted that they ain't got to worry about getting tested because they're so gifted. You know, so you don't know. Unfortunately, with me, I'm going to have hard fights. I'm going to have easy fights. I'm going to have hard fights. I'm going to have good knockouts, bad knockouts. I'm going to get put on the canvas. I'm going to get back up. You know, it's a roller coaster journey. I think that's why it's so exciting. You know, so yeah, I'd fight him. The likes of Garton as well. I like Garton. He's a lovely guy. And I sparred him when I first turned over and had no problems at all. Obviously, sparring's different to fighting. But you know, people need to stop being so fickle and remember the knockouts I have had, and then going, oh, you know, you can't put over a Frenchman who's got a bad record. His record don't speak for him. You know, he's my boogeyman. You know, I'm ready to just get back knocking people out. Yeah.
When's that going to be? When can we expect to see you in the ring again?
I'll fight in April, you know, but I've spoken to my trainer on this. You know, from now on, I'm going in there as a pressure fighter, a come forward fighter, a fighter who's going in there to take your head off, because my best defence is my offence. You know, when I went into that last fight, I was all like moving, running around the ring. I ain't running around the ring, bruv. You know, if I'd stood there for the 10 rounds with that French, I got him out of there, no problem. But because I was like concerned about moving about, and you know, it's not my style. It's not the way I go. It's not all that slick movement. It's not me. I come to fight.
Do you think it's kind of taken you till now to realise that because you've had the kind of lack of amateur experience, you're still finding your feet as a professional, as a man? I mean, you're only 22 years old. Is that something you'd agree with?
Yeah, of course it is. I mean, I'm learning, you know, as I said, you know, all these amateurs, you know, they can lose in the amateurs, and, you know, there's a lot of pressure to maintain my zero and, you know, to not make as many mistakes. I get criticised on it hard, but, you know, it is what it is. I'm going to win some, I'm going to lose some. I'm learning, I'm finding my style. You know, I've only been boxing, 4 years now? 4 years. And I was a complete novice when I come into the game. Like, you can tell, I had like old puppy fat around me, and I had like the chubby cheeks from where I had no muscle on me. I was a little boy, and, you know, so it's a quick turnaround. You know, it's not been no 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 years. It's been 4 years. Still 22 years young. 4 years, not even 4 years. Yeah, 4 years. You know, so I've got a long career ahead of me. It's where you end up. It's the journey. It's where you end up. You know.
You mentioned the kind of the puppy fat and the chubby cheeks and stuff. You also didn't have as many tattoos when you turned over initially. Yeah. How many tattoos have you got? I
don't know, but I'm covered. I thought, you know, I ain't got to worry about getting a 9 to 5 again. So I thought, you know what, I'm just going to do what I've got to do, innit? You know, I like tattoos, you know, I ain't got to worry about a 9 to 5. I'm my own boss. You know, something about tattoos, you know, they tell a story. You know, when I look back, I think, yeah, it reminds me of that time. Oh, yeah, this one reminds me of when I got in trouble here, and this one reminds me that I'm blessed, or I'm redeemed, I'm saved by God's grace, and, you know, there's just loads of stuff, man.
Do you keep any space? Because you are only 22. You might need to add to the tapestry, as it were, as you move on, but you're kind of running out of space, no?
I've got a nice big right leg and a nice big left leg. But my top body's covered.
What's the kind of end goal for you? I mean, every fighter talks about world titles. It's kind of fitting that we do. I mean, bring your dad into it again in a sense of, is it just about world titles? I mean, you mentioned earlier on that you kind of want to just to see if you're better than him or not. Do you think if you kind of find out that, it'll give you closure, or is it very much world titles and your own goal?
No, it's not necessarily even. I mean, obviously, God, it's how word is, you know, complicated. I think you know, everyone would love to win a world title. Will I be good enough to win a world title? The journey's ongoing. You know, there's great fighters out there who, like Kevin Mitchell, for example. What a warrior! I'd rather be known like that than have a world title and be known as a boring fighter. I want people in the UK, in the world, wherever, but you know, in the UK to go, you know, that father and son. They brought entertainment to the UK. You know, they were game. You know, they're tough. You know, I don't want to. I want to please the fans. You know, I don't. You know, no, it's not always about winning a world. You know what I'm trying to say? Of course, it's like about winning a world title. Would be that's the goal. That is the end goal. But ultimately, be known as one of the people. You know, someone who had the time of day for everybody. Someone who was so humble to earth, but yet the ability to knock any man out. You know, the ability for people to, you know, look up to a good role model. You know, 22 years down the line, my dad's still a legend. My dad can't walk down the road without getting recognised. There's nothing but respect for my dad. And, you know, that's what I want. You know, rather than achieving this and achieving that, but then people dislike you, well, what's the point? You know, I'm not saying that I care for people's opinions, but I want to be a good role model. I want people to go, yeah, that Benn family, you know, it's serious, heavy duty.
Okay, well, with that in mind, it's been a real pleasure to sit down with you and do this. The only other times of interviews have kind of been quick ones at press conferences and stuff. You can't quite do this, but thanks very much for sitting down with me today and speaking to Boxing Social. Look forward to seeing you back in the ring in April and a potential Ben Kelly fight at some stage of 2019.
Listen, as I said, people will be quick to write me off, but Court will that spur the boy on. You know, I'm easy. I'll take that fight tomorrow, as I said. And, you know, I work hard. I'm a hard worker, and, you know, at some stage you'll have to prove myself.
Okay, well, Conor Benn, thanks very much for speaking to Boxing Social. Look forward to catching up with you soon.
Thank you.